also, I want to say thanks. So many people who like sort of welcome me back. I've got to admit, I didn't think anyone would notice I hadn't been on, and I certainly didn't think anyone would miss this. But anyway, they did. So it's brilliant. And one person out there did say, can you just run through like the chrome paint thing again? It's not really chrome, it's more like polished aluminium or polished brass. I can't actually get that just mile deep mirror of chrome. It seems to be something that still evades me to this day. But I can get it pretty damn bright, as you probably saw last week on some of the bits that are finished. So I'm going to show you on the car itself. Now, the bits that are going to be shiny gold, like this bumper, and also at the rear of the truck, this large rear bumper with the big Dagmars and all of this is going to be gold. Now, in the paint job when I did it, I prepped the whole car. I painted the front and rear bumpers in just rattle can matte black, masked those up, painted the rest of the car in base coat, and then I unmasked the bumpers and did everything in the 2K clear, and then these bumpers have been polished, and if we look, you know, these are really, really shiny. They are by no means perfect though. And it's one of the things with this that you don't, it's got to be really good. It's got to be as good as you can get it. But you know, if it's got a pot mark in it or something like that, particularly on an old car, it just looks like it's the original bumper being like cleaned up. I remember a friend of mine said when I was working on Cosmotron, it was like, wow, it looks like polished aluminium, and you've even put the pits in that make it really look like aluminium, how it really would be. Obviously, I've not put the pits in. There was just a fault in the paint. But since then, I've always thought that you can get away with quite a lot on these sort of things. So you've got to get that black, really, really shiny. And my advice would be you've got to leave it for like a week to dry out, especially now. Like today, it's warm in here. Outside though, like there's snow on the roof. It's Baltic. It is super, super cold. These are polished up, really good to go, and I've polished them with 3M, the green top stuff. So I'll wipe it down with this. It's got a hint of the blue stuff on. I'm keeping in my pocket. But I wipe over it with that, and that doesn't leave any streaks. Now, in the past, I've wiped over it with, say, like panel wipe. Panel wipe does leave like a watermark, and it does show up once you spray the silver and stuff on. I know it seems mad to use, it's more of a cutting compound, it's not a polish, it doesn't contain any sort of silicone or anything like that, or wax. But I know it seems mad to wipe something with a polish that takes the smears out, then put paint on. But it's how you got to do it to get that bright sort of chromy look. And looks like polished aluminium, not like chrome. Anyway, let's get some paint in the gun, and then let's put a bit on, and I'll just show you how to set the gun up as well. Right, and so the silver solution I'm using is this multi-mix hyper silver, which you can get on like eBay or Amazon. I just feel this has just got the edge on all the others. This really is just excellent stuff. I'll be using this, but then I'll be using the sealer intercoat that Custom Creation paints do, and I found that dries, that's the water-based clear that dries the best and dulls this off the leash. You're always going to get a bit of dull off. When you see me spray this on that bumper, you're going to think, oh my god, this is it, this is alchemy, this is chrome. It's really not, 'cause it does knock it down a bit. And I have used this and then not lacquered it just on things like, say like the exhaust pipes on the little C-cab hot rod soapbox I did. Like that's got a lot of this on raw, so it just looks good, but it hasn't got a wear there. It's not going to last forever on a car. You know, I always like to make a car, no matter how wild it is, that you can just take to the car wash. They can blast over with the jet wash, wipe it all down, and nothing's going to drop off or dull or anything. So we have got to seal this, but it does look, oh, it's just too cruel. When it goes on, you're like, oh my god, I've done it. And then by the end of it, you think, well, not really. But anyway, it's good. Don't be put off. Right then, so first up, really good shake, because any of them silver solids could have sank to the bottom, because this has sat in here for a while. And then my gun that I painted the car with. I'm sure if you got one of them little touching guns, that'll be better. All I've got is this. It's a waterbased gun. You know, about, I don't know, just over 150 quid. So, into this gun, it's dry. Like normally I'll leave thinners in here, and it sits in here for when I use it. Look, this is all tidy as well, isn't it? I'm such a professional, like a professional idiot. But anyway, always got to get this nice and dry. You don't want any thinners in here, because thinners makes this just go grey. So no thinners in there. I've blown it through, I've warmed it up next to the heater, and all that thinners is gone, so it's clear. So now I'm going to pour some of this into the cup. Now, it doesn't seem like a lot of paint. That is a massive amount of this. A little goes a long way. Get my lid on. Don't mix this with anything, just goes on as it is. Right, and so I'm going to give it one last wipe over with my 3M blue infused rag. Now we've got to set up the gun. You know, normally with the gun, like I've been painting with this, so I've got the, you know, the amount of paint screwed right out. I don't want that. I want to screw that all the way in. And I probably don't want full fan either. But I want my pressure up, probably not full bore. And what you're aiming for is lots of air, but very little paint. I'll just try this on the wall here. So you see there we're getting no paint. So I'm just going to wind it out. Now we're getting some paint. I think that will be about right. I'm going to blow this on air. I'm going to put it on pretty dry as well. I'm not going on wet. Now normally I'd be wearing a mask. I'm only going to do this little corner, so I'm sure this video is only going to take, what, I'm thinking half to 3/4 of a day off my life. So, you know, should be all right. So here we go. I'm going to dust this over and you will see this black turn to chrome. And there we go, from black to almost chrome. You can see there's these little matte bits here. As this dries, they will come out, and I'm going to leave this now for probably about 20 minutes, half an hour. Now we'll dust over it again, but just like that, really dry, loads of air, very little paint. And once that's dry, so I'll leave that. You're meant to literally leave it for like 15 minutes, but I'm going to leave it for an hour. And then we'll go over it with that water-based sealant that hopefully won't dull it down too much. Right, so now get my mask on, do the rest, and then I'll be back with the next coat. Then you've seen it. It is super shiny. Looks like chrome, but it will dull off a bit. The least dulling offy sort of water-based stabiliser you can put on it is this, and it is, I called it custom creation paints. They seem to be called creative paints now. So I'm sure if you googled it you'd find it. but it's the water-based stabiliser. And it being water-based, there is mineral-based ones, but I've always found they dull it off even more. And even with this, what you need to do is put it on with dry coats, you know, build up the dry coats and try and make it so that the shiny bit, don't even realise it's being covered over. You know, just sort of trick it. Once I've gone over, I'll probably go 2 or 3 very thin coats with this. And this just makes a layer between the very delicate silver and the very sort of aggressive and sort of chemically solventy 2K that's going to go on top. This will stop it just dulling down. If you just went over it with 2K straight on, it just turns grey. Like I'm all up for a shortcut, and of course I've done it, and yeah, it just goes grey. So water-based stabiliser, and in everything I say it says leave this for an hour to dry and then go over with the 2K, but I don't know, maybe everyone's just in like a hot place in America or Australia or somewhere nicer than the UK, but if you leave this overnight and then go on with the 2K, I find it a lot better. It really, really dries out. Like, I'll be leaving the heat on in here even after I've gone for a few hours just to make sure this is fully dry by tomorrow, because like I say, it's snowing outside, so it is really cold. So let's get some of this in the gun and paint them bumpers. Okay, so for now I've got some of that stuff in the gun. I'm just going to get my fan about right. Now with this I'm going with a bit less air. And a little bit more paint, not too much. There we go. Just so I'm going over with just a very fine misting. Now this, when it dries like gives it like a purpley haze, but that does go away when you go over it with the 2K clear. And at this point as well, like if you're following what I say, and God, why would you? But just say you are, at this point it is going to dull it off and you're going to think, oh no! But when you put that 2K clear on, boom, the shine comes back. Never as good as this, but it does come back and it looks okay. You've seen it, it's alright, isn't it? You know, it's alright. Right then, so, again, I'll just paint this corner with no mask, and then I'll have to put my mask on to do the rest because it stinks. So, here we go. Like I say, nice light coat. I don't even want the shiny stuff to know that I'm here. This can go on really dry because you're not trying to get a sheen with this, it's just an intercoat. You're not trying to get any finish, just an intercoat. Right then, I'm going to put my mask on, I'm going to do it all. Okay, so next day, back in the workshop, and we've had this sealant coat on all night, and I've had the heat on in here till about 10 o'clock last night, and I've had it on for a couple of hours this morning, nice and warm, and that is fully dry. Now, on all these things, it says it takes like an hour and a half to dry. I've never had it dry that quick. Leaving it overnight does definitely seem to give better results. So now we've got that water-based coat on, we can actually go on with some 2K. Now again, I'm going to spray a little bit without a mask just to talk you through and show you, and then I'm going to mask up and paint the rest of it. You know, as always, as with the other coat, I want to surprise it. I don't want to go in with a big, thick, heavy coat. I'm just going to dust over all the bits, and then I'll come back in and give it a heavier coat, and that's the clear. Following that, that's when we put the gold tint in. But I think it's nice just to get you know, just a cover and a clear on first before the gold. Then of course after the gold we put another coat of clear on, because you don't want to be polishing the gold, it's like a candy colour, and if you start going through you lighten the colour, so there'll be another coat of this after the gold coat. But anyway, that's in the future. Right now, let's get some 2K clear over that water-based sealer coat. You can see this looks pretty dull at the minute. You know, there's still a bit of reflection, but it's pretty dull. But what this should do is it should fill in all the gaps and it should become shiny again. So here we go. Let's paint a bit. And don't forget, I'm only going to get this coat. Just going to be quite a dry coat. Everything become shiny again. God damn. Yeah, everything becomes shiny again. So I'm going to dust over this, but with my mask on, and then what we'll do is we'll come back in a bit once that's all dry, and we'll go on with that tinted coat. But right now, my God, I've got to get out. We did a dusty coat, then we've done a wet coat, and look, if we look, there's me waving back in the shiny shininess. The whole thing's looking really good. But right now, we need to go from this silver to gold. I love gold. I think it's alright. Not obsessed with it, but it's alright now. But yeah, we're going to tint this gold now so it matches the rest of the plating on the truck. Up some clear coat and hardener, activator, whatever you want to call it. And what I'm using is this Deltron Progress. What is it? D8131. This stuff, my friend John, who paints a lot more cars and a lot better than me, like the man is just, everything he does just looks like the car's been dipped in glass. He said to me he painted a car in this, and he just painted it, and he went back in, and just off the gun, the shine of the stuff, it's just unbelievable. It really is. It's a little bit more expensive, but you know, most things people say this is dead good. You use it, you think, well, I don't really notice a difference. You really will see a difference in that. It's amazing. Anyway, we got it mixed there, and we need to add some gold. Now, as with all my mixing and stuff, it's just on glugs and drops, because I'm a customiser. Not like some professional garage guy. So this is gold tinter, and I got this from Creation Paints. I've never seen it anywhere else, but you just need a tiny bit. So look, I'm just going to drop a tiny bit into it. And stir it in. And look, up the side you can sort of see the sort of tint you're going to get, you know. I used to do this stuff quite thin and then build it up till it was the right gold, but to be honest, I prefer now just to sort of do it in one coat, maybe touch it in a little bit, get that all gold and a uniform gold, rather than having to put loads of coats on, because it's just more material on the car. And don't forget, I'm going to have to go over this with some just normal clear coat, so I've got something to polish at. So I'm going to blow this on now, and hopefully everything will just go gold like that. But I will try a little blowout out of the gun first. So again, I'm just going to do a tiny bit, just show you what it's like. Now get my mask on, blaze the rest of it out. I've got the amount of paint pulled back a bit, you know, sort of quite a small sort of fan on this, 'cause it's only a small thing I'm painting, and I'm going quite low key. So here we go. So if we look, this should just turn gold. And as you can see there already, you know, we've got a good sort of gold hue starting to build up. But, just like before, that's all I can do, because my God, it stinks. Let's get out of here. I'm running, I'm running, I'm running, not breathing. I'm running, I'm running, I'm running. There we have it. It's all gold and it's all really nice. It's come out really good. I'm totally pleased. Now though, I've got to put just a couple of coats of clear over, because I'm going to want to flatten polish this. And you start flatten polishing the gold, you work through, you're going to get it all patchy. That's no good. So you need something else just to protect that. So I'll go over, as always, with quite a dry, dusty coat of clear. Give it 10 minutes, then boom, load it on, nice wet coat over. and then that should be good enough to gently flat back and then machine polish. I'm pretty pleased with them. You know what I mean? I wanted gold bumpers, and I now have gold bumpers. So now to unmask it. But with this stuff to unmask it, you know, don't just rip the masking tape off, because of course you've got a lot of clear coat sitting just on that silvery stuff, and the silvery stuff has got no real like sort of chemical adhesion. So what you can end up doing is ripping off your masking and taking that clear coat off. So I'm just going to run round the edge with this little blade. My favourite kind of blade. Like, if you don't use these blades, I cut my finger. If you don't use these blades, you really should. Like, you get 100 for like really cheap, and they're always razor sharp. Not even a top tip. This is just like telling you to buy stuff, isn't it? But anyway, they are very good, and definitely good for this. So I'm going to run around the edge, and then we'll get this masking off. So the masking's off, and it's looking pretty good. I had a bit of a mishap down here though. It has pulled some of the what we're going to call it, custom beige off. So I will have to blow that bit in, but the actual chromy part, or goldy part, is all okay. And that's all that matters really, because there's just no way of patching this stuff up. You get a problem at this stage, you can bodge it a bit, or you've got to redo it. Yeah, that's it. They're unmasked, they're okay, they just need polishing now. That little bit needs blowing in, and it should all just go good. Once this is all polished, it should just all blend in nice. Happy days. One more job on the 60s truck. Done.